Alrighty, it's 5:30. Welcome everyone to our town hall informational session where we're going to be talking about Wise Time and our child care plans for our Plattsburgh location. Today we have Justin Ein and Chris Tate joining me. I'm going to be talking a little bit about more in-depth detail about everything that we're going to be releasing for you guys. I'm going to advance us over to the next slide. So if you haven't already, please mute your mics. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead and submit them in the chat box we have here, and we will get to them at the end of our meeting here. And I'm going to send it right over to Justin. You want to take it away?
Great, good deal. Can you hear me okay, Brendan?
I sure can.
Okay, great. Is my hair okay? I want to look good tonight. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And welcome to yet another Zoom call. I know we've probably been on a million of these over the past few months, and but I appreciate your time. And hopefully tonight we're going to answer a lot of your questions and kind of ease your mind a little bit about after-school programming. Certainly this is not an ideal situation, right, as we're still in the midst of this pandemic, but hopefully with the right precautions and the right plan in place, we will move ourselves out of this in a very, hopefully soon. So our main goal here is obviously to help our families as we go back into the school season, and those families that clearly need to work and they need to continue with their job, and they want to make sure that their kids have great after-school programming. Well, the Y's been doing after-school programming since the 60s. The Plattsburgh YMCA and YMCAs all across the country work with millions of kids each and every year. So this is something that we do, and we do it really well, and we take a lot of pride of it. We know that this is an extra stressful time, obviously, because of everything that is COVID. So if I can shed a little bit of positiveness here, we've been running after-school programming since the 23rd of March. When we were mandated to close. And we ran programming all throughout the spring school virtual session. We had programs here in Plattsburgh, in Malone, and in Saranac Lake. So we put together a plan that worked. And knock on wood, we didn't have one issue with either staff or kid getting sick or having those kind of symptoms. Now, we don't take that lightly, and we certainly don't take it for granted, because we know that things can change at any moment. But my point is that we've put together a plan that works. We've also been running summer camp in 5 different locations across the North Country. 3 here in Plattsburgh, and 2, one in Malone and 1 in Saranac Lake. So we've been having close to 300 kids in different locations, small group activities, a lot of similar things that you're going to see here today. So just to kind of add a little bit of a 30,000-foot view of what we've been doing, I wanted to just let you know that we've been doing it right, and we're very proud of that. Again, we don't take it for granted. So Brandon, if you can advance. So we are going to put a priority on working families. So there's lots of different things that go into that. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to an office. It could mean that you have your virtual work from home, and having the kids out of the house is really important so that you can continue your work. Or you may be a student. There's a lot of different levels of that. But our focus, our primary placement, is going to work on those. We realize there may be some people that have already registered that maybe fall out of this. Don't worry, don't freak out. We got you, and that's our hashtag. So we will make this work. But we want to let you know that through the 26th of this month, we're going to focus on the working families that truly need this to continue their employment, and then seeing where we are, we will open it up, obviously, to more. Again, if you've already registered and you fall out of this, don't worry, we got you. Okay, A lot of the things you're going to see here are things you've heard a million times, but it's so important that we just reassure you that the same things you've been hearing elsewhere are going to happen here. So any participation with your kids at our programs, we have health screening. We do these type of things upon your kids attending our program. So you've heard the symptoms. Obviously, you might have some of these symptoms that are not COVID related. We're not suggesting that if you have a headache that you've got COVID. But these are just things for you to keep in mind if your child does get ill or get sick, that these are the things you want to kind of keep in mind that could be, you know, a COVID-related issue, and obviously refer to your physician and your doctor for that medical help or guidance. We are not physicians. We're not going to tell you you've got COVID or anything like that. It's hard to see my screen here. Here we go. Oh, no. Bear with me here. Sorry. There we go. So if you feel for any reason that you may have COVID, if you've been exposed, stay home. These are very simple statements that as long as we can follow these, it keeps everything moving smoothly and it keeps our programs going. Unfortunately, it takes one instance where you go to a very large party and somebody there is sick, and then you infect a lot of other people. You bring that back to a program, and it can shut down a program. It can shut down schools. So we want to really impart on you the importance of wearing your mask, keeping social distancing. You know the circles of people that you're hanging out with. Just be very conscious of that so that you don't cause some sort of issue with a bigger program like the Y. Obviously, if you have knowledge of being in close proximity, have you been told to quarantine, all of these things are daily things that we're going to ask our families when they drop off at our program. And if you're at your school and you're attending after school programming, and we'll go into a little bit of that, we will re-ask those questions as kids show up, and we will temperature check as well. So we have different pieces in place that will ensure when you're going from one program to another that we're rechecking and ensuring that nobody's developed a fever while they've been in school. And so that if they attend our program, we know that they're in a healthy way. So this is the general screening that we will be doing. We're going to get into some more specifics now. I'm going to turn it over to Chris Tate, our Director of Operations here. She's going to lead you through what the different programs we have, what the different packages are, and how those programs will operate. So we'll turn it over to Chris.
All right, thank you, Justin. So we can go on to the next slide there, Brandon. All right, so before, after, and full day care, a lot of you might already be familiar with our program, but some of you might not be. There's been lots of questions about what grades and age groups that we are serving, and our program is grades kindergarten through 5th grade. Now we have a couple of different program options. We have before and after care, which is care before school, those earlier hours, and after school, which is those later hours of care that families are needing. This year, the program is operating just a little bit differently. In Beekmantown, the schools or the children are attending 5 days a week if they are on-site attendance and not doing the virtual. And so they would have care before and after school for 5 days a week. Now in Plattsburgh, in Peru, kids are attending on-site at school 2 days a week, and then doing their schoolwork at home virtually for the remaining 3 days. So in Beekmantown, we'll be doing 5 days of before and after care for those kids, and we'll still be doing 5 days of care in Plattsburgh and Peru. It would just be that your child would only be attending before and after care for the 2 days that they are on site for school. And then we have full day care for those folks on the other 3 days of the week when they are doing virtual learning. We will have care on site for us, for the kids, and can assist the kids with their work or their virtual work for the day. All right, next one, Brandon. So what does before and after school care look like? We have several locations In Plattsburgh, we will be located at each of the schools this year, so there will be care at Bailey, at Glasgow, formerly, actually, I think I have those mixed up. It's Glasgow and Beaumont and Oak Street, I apologize. And then at Peru, we will also be in the schools for before and after care, as well as the Beekmantown school districts at Beekmantown Elementary and Cumberland Head. The hours of care for before care, if that's what your family is needing, will start at 6:45 a.m. You can come anytime between 6:45 and until school starts, but we start as early as 6:45. That's a normal thing for us. And then after school care will start at the school right after the kids are released for the day, and will go until 5:30 p.m. And then moving on to our full day options, this is where it gets a little bit different. So in Plattsburgh, for example, we will be operating the full day care, not within the schools. It will be in our YMCA location. We have several rooms there available. We also have used the First Presbyterian Church for space in the past and will again this year. And additional sites will be shared with you at a later date. We're working through those as we speak. Peru, full day care will all, just like before and after care, will be on site. So that's the little difference there with Plattsburgh. They're on site while Plattsburgh will be full days at the Y or one of our other locations. Some important info to know, hours of care for the full days are a little bit different than they had been in previous years when folks would sign up for an all day, if it were like a holiday or a school closure day. Those hours this year are 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. A unique thing or a great thing we think this year is that meals are going to be provided in partnership with the school districts, so it's really awesome. Both Peru and Plattsburgh will be providing the breakfast and lunch for the kids. We would just ask the families to pack a couple of snacks and a refillable water bottle for the day while they're with us at full day care. The groupings are basically, so we'll have several sites and locations throughout Plattsburgh at the Y, the church, and wherever else we get figured out. But the way that works is a site or a space within that site is designated to that school only. So only Beaumont kids will be with Beaumont kids in classroom A, let's say. If we're in a gymnasium, that'll be the group B. Only kids Oak would be in the group B room. They're not going to be combining or crossing each other. The schools are kept separate from each other. Next one, Brandon. So the next thing is one of the questions that we've been receiving quite a bit, so we wanted to make sure to share that with you today. You might have already seen it, but it's nice to kind of just do a quick overview of. So these are what our rates look like for before and after care. These are monthly rates. So for the first section there is our Beekmantown schools. Remember, they're not doing needing full day care. It's only before and after care there. This is a 5 days a week rate. And there's your rates. You will see the Y member rate. So if you're a member of a Y, this is what you would pay monthly for care. And then the community member rate. If you're not a member of a Y, then this would be the rate that you would pay, again, monthly. Then we move on to the yellow highlighted section, which is the before and after care rates for Plattsburgh schools and Peru schools. This, of course, is going to be different than Beekmantown because essentially your child would only be attending 2 days a week and not 5 like Beekmantown would be. So that's why you see the difference there in the pricing. Again, Y member versus the community member rates. All right, next one, Brandon. And then the next slide that we're going to take a look at is our rates for full day care. So this is something that we've never really quite done before. Typically when folks had done a all day, it was kind of here and there. It was, I may just need 1 day a month when schools are closed, even though the school was closed for a week for a holiday. And then you would just do that 1 day. Or you would take a whole week of all days for that vacation time. I myself have participated with my kiddos. But this year is, of course, unique. It sounds silly to say that. I think we say that all the time right now in these last several months, but it is unique. So for a family in the Plattsburgh School District and Peru School District, your kiddos will be attending school on site for 2 days, and then you might potentially be in need of care for the remaining 3 days of the week when your children are quote unquote virtual. So we have some options for you. Now, if you're a family that only needs before care, but you also, for those 2 days a week, and then the remaining 3 days you need full days, package A is the option for you. If you're a family that's needing just aftercare and the 3 full days a week, package B. Package C would be someone who needs before and after care, those 2 days a week at school, and then 3 full days a week. And then the very last package is package D, which is for folks who, I don't need before or after care at all. I've got it figured out. I just need care on those 3 full days so that I can go to work, so I can go to school, what have you. Then that would be package D. So those are our packages. That's where you see the differences in the pricing. And I assume maybe somebody will have a question at the end, and I'd be happy to answer those. So again, those are monthly rates, just like the before and after care rates were. So a little bit about fees and savings. So right now, we are getting a lot of response regarding registrations for kind of our new setup this year for Wise Time. It's been very exciting to see all the registrations come through. So the only thing that you're having to pay for right now is the registration fee. It's a $50 registration fee. Once you register, if you haven't registered already, we get a notification that there's a new application that's come in, and then we process that within 48 hours, and we send you a message back saying, hey, we've processed your registration, you're all good to go. We've also charged your card for the $50. That's the only thing you're paying right now. So again, monthly rates. So you're going to be paying a monthly fee for participation in the program. Payments this year are a little bit different than in previous years if you're a returning participant, in that our payments are now due on the 1st of every month. Some folks, so in previous years it was due on the 15th. We've moved that to the 1st of the month. You are able to set up other payment arrangements, but that would be an agreement that you would make with Tina, the director of the Wise Time program, or myself. And then I just kind of want to go back and make one really quick note. Now I'm thinking about it regarding the registration fees. It's a $50 registration fee for whatever you sign up for. So if you signed up for aftercare, before care, and the full days, you're not paying 3 separate $50 fees. You're just paying one. So if you're signing up for one thing, 2 things, 3 things, it's all just $50. Next thing is there are some additional savings for you as participants in the program. And these are really great for families that have multiple children participating. So if you have a 2nd child, a 3rd child, what have you, there is a 10% discount on those additional children. So the 1st child will pay the normal rate, and then the other siblings will pay, will get the 10% off of their normal monthly rate, which is really nice. And then there may be some of you that are looking for or just interested in learning more about financial assistance. There are a couple of options available currently, which is the Department of Social Services offers financial assistance, and then we also have our YMCA scholarship as well that you can fill out an application for. All right, next one. And the next one is just talking briefly about program safety. Really, again, like what Justin had said, is we've been doing a lot of this already. So we've been well practiced. And a lot of this is really repeats of what we've already been doing through the Schools Out program that we started in March and ran through June, and then have been doing in our summer camps, which are just getting finished up in the next week. So basically what we fall back on or that we use is our group sizes. Kids will be grouped together, but those groups will be no larger than 10 children per group. Students will, and our staff will be required to wear face masks at all times. So whenever they're in the program, they have their mask on. So make sure that when they're entering, that they have their face mask on for the day, and as they leave the door, they need to have it on as well. Hand washing and sanitizing is something that we've always done. Whenever kids' hands become soiled, if they've been doing a lot of arts and crafts activities, they cleaned something, they spilled something, whatever it is, even before eating and after eating, we wash our hands. But we're kind of just taking that a step further, and we started this when we opened up Schools Out in March. We're washing our hands every hour on the hour. It's not required of us. It's just an extra precaution that we take. And we're going to continue to do that. We've also been doing that in our camps as well. The next thing is physically distant activities. Really, that's that doesn't mean it's something new. It's something that we're already doing. Basically, we're just making minor tweaks to the activities that we've always done. And an example I've shared before is, we're not going to lose the ability to do all the activities that we've always loved. Kids love to play tag. Well, we can tweak that where we don't tag each other with our hands and share those germs. We hold a pool noodle and tag each other with a pool noodle instead. It's just really being creative and tweaking those things. And the great thing is that we have excellent staff in the Wise Time program and great leadership from Tina and great ideas to just come up with a new way to do things. So it's really just tweaking what we already do. We, again, will do those daily health checks at the time of drop off, whether it's before care, after care, or for all days, that will be done. And those health checks, as a side note, we do those on our staff as well. It's not just the kids that we're checking health-wise, the staff do. And then the very last thing is our cleaning and disinfecting practices. We do that not just of our tabletops and pens and pencils or whatever, but it's also the supplies that we're using, arts and crafts. If we play dodgeball, we disinfect those balls just like we've done in our camps. We have regular cycles of disinfecting things as soon as they've been used by a group. And those are following the guidelines of the CDC. So, and I think that's the last one for me, and I will turn it back over to Justin. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. Good information. So we'll advance the slide once more here, and we'll get, we got a couple more slides here, and then we'll take questions. So obviously the face mask piece is going to be new. When we first started this out, children were not required to wear face masks. During summer camp, it was certainly an option, and some families did it, but now it is not. So we've taken the move to make sure that we fall in line with what the schools are going to be doing. So the kids will need to provide, we always like to say bring 2 face masks, but we will have clean, fresh ones, fresh out of the, the bag, so to speak, if a child loses one or whatever, it becomes soiled or what have you. We'll have those available. And like the school districts are providing mask breaks, we will also be able to do that in a section away from the group. So if a kid just is really super hot, they can pull that mask down and then take a quick break. Obviously, when they're having snacks, kids will be distant away from each other so that they can eat snack and be socially distant during that practice. Let's see here. A quick note about checking in. So for before care, right in the morning, you're dropping your children off. We will do all of those things. We will do a temperature check. We'll ask you those questions. We don't allow or will not allow families to come into the program space. So you will be dropping your child off at the door of the cafeteria or wherever that space may be. If there is a reason why you need to actually physically come into the building, we then need to ask you those questions as well, and we need to temperature check you. Any child with any type of temperature over 100.4, the child will not be allowed to attend our program. Or adult, if they have that temperature, they'll be not allowed into the building. So we need to be very clear about this. And again, these go with the CDC guidelines. So the child will not be allowed to attend. After school time, they finish their full day of school. They're in the cafeteria ready to join the Wise Time program. We're going to be checking all of those children at that point as well. Even though they've been in school, we're going to check them. If they've developed a fever that's over the 100.4, we will then have a quarantine area where the child will need to wait while we contact the family and have that child picked up from the program. And then we have different precautions of when that child can return to program. So we just want to make sure that that's clear. And obviously for the full days, we will check the children in, ask the questions, take the temperature check, and then proceed with the day. Let's advance one slide there. So let's talk about what to bring here. Obviously, you can see your list here. And this Chromebook and laptops are the big question. A lot of people have been asking about the virtual and full day options and what the Y is going to do with that. So we are prepared to have your kids bring their laptops or Chromebooks with them to the program. We'd ask you to make sure you get some type of label that you can label them. But then we will be able to provide time during that program for the kids to get on, whether it's Teams or Microsoft Teams or some of the other platforms, to be able to do their homework. Some of the days it's easier than others. I know that in Plattsburgh on Wednesday, I believe there's a lot more direct contact with the teachers on that day, and I'll talk about Wednesdays in a second. But on the other days, as far as I've been told, a lot of those, especially in Peru, and a lot of those days in Plattsburgh, those are going to be recorded sessions that the kids can go on at different times. With that said, if the teachers have specific times where they need kids to get on, we'll make sure that we are able to accommodate your kids with that. I noticed really quickly a comment about brother and sister sharing a computer. So if they will certainly be able to share that computer just at different times, obviously, to be able to get on to whatever programs they need to. We want to be really clear with all of our families. Our staff are great role models. Our staff are great at providing activities and games. Our staff are great at providing this type of care. We're not teachers. We offer guidance. So for the homework time, we will certainly offer guidance and guide those kids through those homework activities or schoolwork activities. We're counting on the teachers to make sure that they have very clear messaging with their homework assignments so that the kids can follow along. But we will, of course, offer our help with whatever the kids need. But we want the parents to please check those homework assignments at the end of the day when the kids come home. So we ask them to bring their face masks, their whatever tablet or Chromebook that they're using, whatever homework assignments they have, bring a water bottle. We'll let you know about the swimming suit. That's not right in the beginning, so we just put that down there as we're looking at how we might be able to offer that for the full day programs. And then if we can skip over one more slide. We'd like you to keep any personal items at home. We really want to remind the kids about sharing, and this is such a hard one for me because we teach kids about sharing all the time and being friendly to their neighbors. And now, unfortunately, we just have to say, you can't do that right now. Don't share your food. You can't share your items. We'll have specifically packaged supplies for the kids so that they'll have their own group of stuff to use. But leave all other electronics at home other than the ones you need for education, and everything else we'll be able to provide. Also, just a quick note, if you're just doing the after-school program, right, that from dismissal till 5:30, snacks are provided, and we provide those for you. So lunch and breakfast will be provided, snacks on the after-school program side, and then we ask you to just pack a couple of snacks for the full day programs. But we will be able to provide lunch for the full days as well. We will be picking them up at the schools for Plattsburgh and delivering it here to the Y. Obviously in Peru, they will already have that right there at the school. All right, and then I think, Brandon, we're at the last slide. So I will put that back to you, Brandon, and we can answer whatever questions. I know some of them submitted them beforehand.
One of the adults falls sick. Are we mixing adults from other sites to cover their absence? I believe this might be an employee question.
Yeah, obviously we need to make sure that we have coverage in any one of our after-school sites. So if our staff does fall ill, we will have to replace that staff with another staff person. All of our staff are taking the precautions, cleaning and wearing the face mask and keeping temperature check and such. So that could happen. What happened in the spring did not. We had pretty consistent staffing, throughout.
Will there be Wi-Fi at all the sites so there's no interruptions in learning?
Now, I cannot guarantee you that there wouldn't be an interruption, as we just saw from our Zoom call here. But all of the sites have Wi-Fi and we have access to them. So yes to that question. If there's a power outage, obviously, that would happen.
How many children are at each site and how many groups at each site? And will breakfast be provided?
So I can answer those. As far as the breakfast being provided, that is provided. I think this question might have been a little bit earlier in the presentation, like right before we had shared that. But breakfast and lunches are provided. How many children are there at each site and how many groups at each site? To be honest, that's not really known yet. We don't know what the need is, but ultimately, if you have a room, it only has 10 children in it. That's the max. If you're looking at the Y, we could have a classroom upstairs that has 10 children in it, and another one across the hall that has 10 children, and then we're utilizing maybe another space in the Y on another floor that has 10 children. But I can't give you an exact number of how many kids just yet, but we would be following those mandates from the CDC and from the state regarding how many people can be in a building.
And it's also dependent on the sites. We're licensed for a certain amount of children at each site. So we will keep with those licensing numbers. But we know that there's probably going to be more need. So that's why, before Chris mentioned that we're looking at some alternative sites. The school district has just, literally while we're on the phone, has offered up some space at Dukin at their administrative office. So we're going to be looking at that and seeing exactly what we can put into that program there. Back to you, Brandon.
How are you going to keep different grades separated during the program?
That is more than likely not going to happen. We will keep kids from specific schools together. Depending on the number of kids, we will be able to section certain age groups, I should say, with certain counselors. But to Chris's point, it'll depend on how many people are registered within those different age groups. We will certainly do our best to keep age groups and grades together. But certainly the school will not mix with another school.
Is each student going to have to sit at a desk with a screen, much like a classroom setting?
So during, I'll take this one, Chris. So on the Wednesday session, and we're getting more information about this, we're being communicated that the Wednesday session is going to be a little bit more of a structured school session where kids are going to be on computer. So on that day, that's going to be more of a classroom type setting where there's going to be, a lot more time. But wherever that the program is able to set up shop, so in the cafeterias or the gyms or the classrooms, we will section off the children so that they have socially distanced space between their neighbor and be able to get onto their computers.
When will the room that Wise Time is in be sanitized and disinfected if the schedule is Monday through Friday?
Can take that one.
Yeah,
So there will be sanitation at the end of a day, after children leave the program, but we also clean and sanitize throughout the children's time in the program. Just as we mentioned before, there's, the hourly cleaning of our, washing of our hands on the hour every hour. It's that same kind of concept with the desktops, tabletops, materials that are used during our activities for the day. And it's similarly, it's what we do here at the Y as well. Our front desk, we're cleaning that every hour on the hour, pens and tabletops and door handles. Same thing with our programming.
So also we have our evening cleaner that will be here after program and be able to do, and this is what we're doing for the entire facility here. We'll be able to go through those rooms and give an extra disinfectant. We are working with really good disinfectants that have a kill time of 1 minute, so that we're able to go into areas and literally while the kids are down in the gym, we could be spraying that room, and within a minute it has been disinfected. So there's several different layers to that. And of course, the school districts will be cleaning and disinfecting their buildings.
Will siblings be kept in the same groups?
I believe we did that in some camp settings. I don't see, if that's a request from the parent, I don't see why we wouldn't do that.
Will we be mandating headphones for the children to use the tablets without interrupting the others in the room, and so that each child can hear their teachers?
Yes, that's actually a really good point. We didn't put that on the list of needs, so headphones. Very good.
Teachers put them on their list though for requirements, so.
Nice. Will it be possible to arrange for 1 day care or 1 morning, 1 afternoon care?
Not at this time. Not at this time. We're trying to get a handle on exactly how many families are going to really need this full care. So if you are signing up for before care, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, if you're signing for before care or after care or one of the packages, you're signing for that month. If you don't show up a day or what have you, I mean, that's your choice, but it's the best way that we're able to organize and keep our staffing structure consistent, and not have to worry about more kids one day than another.
Are there going to be extra staff available to help with schoolwork during full days?
So we would still have the same number of staff that are needed for to cover our staff ratio. So if you have a group of 10 children, you have your 1 staff member with them. We wouldn't have extra staff. So I think that just illustrates again kind of what Justin was mentioning before, which we're there to help the kids with their work and guide them and answer questions, but ultimately it really comes back to teachers checking in with the kids on their work, as well as the parents reviewing that work with them at home in the evening.
I see the question there on 6th graders, Brandon.
Oh, yeah. Will you have before and after care for the 6th graders of Stafford?
So as of right now, we don't. I'm working with the school district to try to figure out if we can. We've only had, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, we've only had 1 or 2 families of 6th graders that have inquired. So we're still working through that, but as of right now, we do not.
So with Wednesday being a weird day, how is that going to work with the rest of the district being cleaned?
Well, for Plattsburgh, it doesn't matter because we won't be in the schools. And for Peru, we met with the superintendent and they have a scheduling plan that they will be able to clean those rooms that we were in. I don't know exactly all their details, but that's how that's happening.
How is drop-off or pickup going to work with the flow plan the school currently has?
So the pickup and drop-off at Plattsburgh School, I will check on. From what I gathered from my conversation is that won't change. And in Peru, you know, the full day and the before care are offset by a little bit of time. So I believe that is going to help. And according to the school district, that the way that the traffic flow will go, that it won't impede on their daily operations. Now, with that said, I'd like to just prepare everybody. The first couple of days of school, be patient. We know that there's going to be little tweaks and things that we need to correct. But that's been my understanding from the school district.
Will we be opening this program up to Seton schools?
To what?
I think it's Seton.
Seton, sorry. Seton schools? Seton schools?
So we do not have a program established with Seton. Right now, it is just the Plattsburgh Elementary, Peru, Beekmantown, and then our two districts out in Malone and Saranac Lake. I have had inquiries from Saranac School District and Ausable School District. We're certainly looking at those. It's very challenging to open up a new program very quickly. So we're trying to get the ones we can open quickly, and then we're working with our team if there's opportunities for us to open additional sites. But it's certainly on our radar.
Does Monday through Thursday mix with Tuesday through Friday when they go on Wednesday? Will they all be in the same area?
So this is the day that is going to be tricky because there can be overlap between the cohorts A and B. But we want to remind everybody that because of the precautions that we take on a daily basis with sanitizing and cleaning and wearing masks, just because a kid is in a different cohort and in the same area, doesn't mean contamination is going to happen. But Wednesdays is the only day that there can be people from the two different A-B days within the same area. But again, we will be practicing all of the safety measures to ensure that kids are, not close to one another and they're, doing all the proper protocols.
When will we know that we are officially set for what we registered our children for?
That is a great question.
Question for me. So right now we're doing online registration. We've been getting some forms in. We're getting quite a bit of a response, and there's a bit of a process to that. But there is a note on the applications that says it'll take about 48 hours to process your registration. And then once we have that all completed and entered onto our computer system, you'll basically get two messages. One, letting you know that you've been successfully registered for what you requested. And a second message letting you know that we have processed your registration fee of the $50. So it's about 48 hours. We strive for daily, but due to the response right now, it's a little bit longer. It's about 48.
If we were registered with Y-Care last year, do we have to pay the registration fee again?
Yes, returning families do the registration fee each year that they register. It's to secure your spot for that year.
I think we may have answered this question before, but this one says we only have one Chromebook to share between our two kids. Will this be able to share?
Yeah, we did mention that before. So we'll just figure out which groups they're in, sanitize the notebook, and then have different time that child is getting onto their schoolwork. So I think we just need to talk with that parent specifically, and we can figure out that process.
If schools at some point decide to go remote learning for all 5 days, will the Y offer 5 days of care?
That is the plan. That is the plan. So obviously it'll change our structure a little bit, but we will certainly get our team together as soon as we know, and we will, just like in true COVID fashion, we will pivot, and we will provide the best program that we can. So yes, we will do that.
And this seems to be the last question I have. If you still have questions out there, make sure to send them in. Where in the Peru district is this going to happen, other than the stated Peru Elementary, cafe, gym, etc.?
That's where it's going to happen. It's at the elementary school. We're utilizing cafeteria space, and in some instances, part of their gym when other programs are not in there. According to what I saw from Peru, the cafeteria is being allowed just for Y programming. I think drop off and pick up, there might be some time in there, but yeah, those are the spots.
I had one just pop in. What day does the program start, and how are we doing school holiday breaks?
The school holiday breaks, I believe, will work as normal, but we have not gotten that far yet. Just being completely honest with you. Our focus right now is to get the standard, quote unquote, school days scheduled. And we also need to see what, if there's any changes in guidelines and so forth. For holiday weeks, vacation time, those kind of things. Those days do pose more of a challenge because then you have multiple, kids coming from multiple districts. So more to come on that one. And we'll mark that off as a question to get back to families on.
I think there was another question on the start date too, which was the schools are starting, and I believe we're starting the Monday after. That's right.
No, the school now moved to opening on the 8th. So that's when we're starting as well.
Okay.
And that is all the questions that we have today, guys.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody, again, for taking the last hour with us, dealing with a little bit of technology issue. We're available by phone or by email. Please reach out to us if you have any further or follow-up questions, and we're happy to work through and get some feedback as well. If you have a concern or an idea, we're certainly open to those and making this work for everybody. So have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk to you soon. Just so you know, the Thursday session is the same as tonight, so you don't need to attend that one. But thank you all very much, and we'll be in touch.